Vice President Kamala Harris finally forced to face her failed border policies in this heated exchange with Bret Baier.
I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now,
just a number? Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Bret, let's just get to the point.
When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration, even before.
Trump 2024 campaign senior advisor Danielle Alvarez joins us now. Danielle, good morning to you. A lot to get to with you. So let's just start with the Trump campaign's overall reaction to this interview.
You know, it was an absolute mess for Kamala Harris, but as has been her entire campaign and her entire 3.5 years in office, she couldn't answer a single question. And because it was a, tough and fair interview, she was held to account. She couldn't talk about the border crossings under her failed administration, the fentanyl pouring in. She couldn't talk about Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungary and the deaths caused because of the violent migrant crime that's occurring, the rise in violent migrant crime that's occurring because of her failures. She didn't have answers on inflation, on the economy. I definitely understand why her staff was jumping up and down, waving to end that interview, because it was a disaster for them. It was a Hail Mary pass because she is failing and the American people are seeing it.
One specific moment stood out to me. Bret, right off the bat, pressed her on the number of illegal migrants in our country. Do you think she knows the number? In other words, do you think that the person that President Biden tasked with the border crisis knows how many illegal migrants have crossed the southern border under her watch?
Well, and we know that number is tens of millions, probably 20 million plus, again, because of her open border, because of that porous border. She knows the answer, but she didn't want to say it out loud. She doesn't want to admit her failures out loud because we know that the American people care about some key things: closing and securing that southern border so that illegal immigrants cannot invade our country, so that fentanyl cannot invade our country. They want to make sure that we can bring down inflation. They want to make sure that she can fix the economy. And she probably knows the answer, but cannot give it, because the answer is that she is failed, she is weak, and she is dangerously liberal. And only President Donald J. Trump, who did it during his time in office, can do it again.
Well, Kamala Harris often points to the bipartisan border bill and uses it as a shield during conversations about the border. But that bill was released this year, which is why Bret asked this. Listen.
Jocelyn Nungary, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration. Do you owe
Bret,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced. This election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Bret.
What do you think about that answer? She still says that she's the solution. And also, how do you think undecided voters feel about that line of questioning in her response?
I think it's absolutely weak. I mean, she is the direct result of our open border and of those deaths. And it is devastating to those families who I have spoken to personally, to lose their loved ones, to lose their daughter, to lose their mother, to lose their sisters. And again, it is a direct result of her open border policy. The other apology she owes is to the families of the 13 service members who died from her botched Afghanistan withdrawal, where she bragged that she was the last person in the room. This interview just continued to highlight her failures and the fact that she doesn't have answers and she is incapable of leading. She doesn't deserve the promotion that she is seeking, and that was abundantly clear last night.
Yeah, she has a tremendous problem with the chronology here, to Carly's point. All these individuals came over well before the bipartisan bill, if you will, was discussed. She cannot get over that fact. She keeps going back to that fact, and it's incorrect. It is not correct. Former President Trump, on the other hand, sitting down for a town hall with Univision and Latino voters nearly 1 week after Kamala did, as he looks to expand his support among Hispanic voters. Take a listen to this exchange.
It was coming together because it was so successful. Everybody, Hispanic Americans, Black Americans, everybody had jobs. Women, men, people with high school diplomas, people without high school diplomas, people from the best colleges in the world, from MIT and Harvard, the Wharton School of Finance, from Stanford, and people with no education. Everybody was doing better. There was no division. Success will bring our country together.
You know, it's been rightly noted that Democrats right now are underperforming with the Latino voters, historically a source of huge numbers for Democrats. Did Donald Trump last night in that town hall on Univision cut even further into the Democrats' historical advantage?
I think that he absolutely did. And as you pointed out, President Trump is performing historically well with Hispanic Americans who support his plans to lower inflation, who support his plans on the economy, and who, very importantly, support his plans for a secure border and mass deportation. Those are the key issues that the president is running on. Those are the key issues that matter to Hispanic voters. And I will tell you this, I was in the room with him. Univision vetted every single one of those audience members and said that they were undecided voters. He absolutely changed hearts and minds in that town hall with individuals who came up to him after and said, I will absolutely be voting for you. Once they heard his responses, once they heard his priorities, he will continue to cut into what is traditionally a Democrat stronghold. And it's, again, because of his record of success. Under President Trump, my community had historic low poverty, historic low unemployment, and historically high home ownership. And it's something that we have to return to.
There was also one friendly moment, maybe a little bit of a moment of bipartisanship that is unexpected. Listen to this.
She seems to have an ability to survive. She seemed, because, you know, she was out of the race and all of a sudden she's running for president. That's a great ability that some people have and some people don't have. She seems to have some pretty long-time friendships, and that's, you know, also, that's, I don't call that an ability. I call that a good thing. And she seems to have a nice way about her.
There you go. So that voter asked him to name 3 nice things about Kamala Harris. So final thoughts to you on that?
You know, I think he's obviously incredible. You know, it probably couldn't have answered that question, couldn't have come up with a single strength of Kamala Harris just because of the devastation that she has caused to families across this country. But it shows the type of leader that President Trump is. He wants to unite this country. As you played in a previous clip, success will unite this country. And we were successful under President Donald J. Trump. That's what we will return to in November. And I think that that's what the country is ready for. I encourage everyone watching to go to swampthevote.com and make a plan to vote.
I love that line. Well, she's got a lot of long friendships.
Kamala Harris was asked that question on Univision last week, and she said that he loves his family.
There you go. Yeah, they're trying.
Maybe came up with one thing.
Danielle, thank you.
Thank you, Danielle.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.